It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. The show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards is The Outer Realm, and that's in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. The Outer Realm is a popular show hosted by Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, which has millions of listeners each week. They are well known for their laid-back, roundtable style of interviewing. Together, this dynamic duo brings you the best of the best with guests from around the world who are well-versed within their respective fields of ufology, paranormal, cryptozoology, folklore, and anything else that would be deemed outside the realm of normal. Michelle is an international public figure who has spent the last 2 decades working in the international paranormal community in research and media. Amelia is a remote viewing medium with 10 years of working with missing children, as well as cold and active murder cases. So go to podcastawards.com to nominate The Outer Realm in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. That's podcastawards.com. It's super easy. So just please take a moment and get out and go vote.
Welcome to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network 105.3 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee, who we appreciate so much because they're just like family. They are very much a part of the show. They have been with us since the beginning, and we are grateful for them, and definitely they're instrumental in The Outer Realm coming to you every single week. Also, truly grateful and honored for Dr. Snick, Justin Snicker, the sonic surgeon, who provides us with our intro and our outro. He is an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found anywhere that good music is streaming. In the news, as you see, guys, podcastawards.com, I think we've got something like 17 days, essentially until the end of the month. So if you can just do a quick register and go and cast your vote. I have to say, whomever you want to, we have a whole really awesome lineup here on United Public Radio, but seek us out under Best Female Hosted Podcast and the Adam Curry category. Come and just show us some love. So tonight, The Outer Realm is happy to bring to you Natalie Zett. And as I was mentioning last night, she's written a book where the main character is not so much a person, but it is a tragedy. It's something that's happened in 1915. She's going to talk about this. And while innocently investigating her family's history, she came across a lot of supernatural things. And as she says, when you awaken the dead, expect the unexpected. So to chime in tonight, we are on our usual platforms. Let's see here. YouTube, UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials, UFO Paranormal Radio, Outer Realm. Facebook, we've got United Public Radio, Paranormal Radio Network, UFO Paranormal, sorry. We've got The Outer Realm, Canada's Most Haunted, News on the Flip Side, Joe Montaldo, UFO Undercover. So go and check them out. And wherever you are catching the show, if you like what you hear, if you are on YouTube, please subscribe. That really helps us a lot. And if you are on Facebook, like us up, join the group. Just show your support. We really appreciate it, and we like to interact with you all when you guys chime in. So with that being said, people are chiming in. We've got Oh gosh. Yeah. Carol, Zachman, Adriana. Hello, hello, hello. This is awesomeness.
Mm-hmm.
Good, good, good. So I guess I should go put the banner up, shouldn't I? There we go. Whoop, hold on. What am I doing? What am I doing? There we go. Okay, people. There we go. Her book, Flower in the River, A Family Tale Finally Told. This sounds kind of like, wow,
I know.
right? So
It's amazing how the other side just pulls you in.
it does. We talked a little bit about some of that last night, So how are you today, Bubbly Boo?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. Just found out I'm babysitting 2 more little puplets tonight because said daughter is sending over her 2. She has some dental surgery and that's it. So 2 more dogs, like it or not.
Oh, that's
I know.
nice. I found something on Twitter that a paranormal group posted, and I thought it was hilarious if I could share it with
Of
everyone,
course. Yeah.
because this has a little bit to do with what we spoke of yesterday for investigations, and it's really cute. They have a Care Bear with a little ghosty on his belly, and it says paranormal drama Care Bear.
No, you don't have drama in the paranormal, right?
None such drama. And there's comments all over this little poster, and he stole it from someone else and I stole it from him. So it says at the top, my EVP is better than your EVP.
Oh my word.
The other side says orb. It's a dust particle. That location is too far to travel to. And then there's one that says, what do you mean that I have to pay to investigate a location? That's one thing we didn't talk about yesterday, the permits and that. And then the last one, but the funniest of all, is I can provoke if I want to. Zach Bagans does it.
People, I know. Yeah, you just do that, champion, and let's just see where you end up.
They were saying how ridiculous some of these things sound, right? So,
oh my gosh.
I just thought it was hilarious. I couldn't believe how many people of the paranormal field were sharing that on Twitter. It was really cute.
But you know what? It's not even the paranormal field, like we talked a little bit about last night. Hey, yes. Michael, it gets to a point where it doesn't matter what field you're in. Everybody seems to be, well, I won't say everybody, because that's incorrect, because a lot of people, do really good research and work really hard. And I just love the people who like to coattail or piggyback on those who do most of the hard work, or who spend their lifetime, like decades, doing hard work and hard research. And next thing you know, you have somebody coming back into it and who wants to, like I said, what is integrity worth? How much is it worth?
Oh, for some, you can buy them for a dime.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. There is no integrity if you can sell
dollar bills at them. Yeah.
No, there's no integrity. I mean, everybody needs to be compensated for time and stuff like that. Which, hi, Sammy, my niece. Yeah. How you, of course, you have to be compensated, but with that in theory and thought, think of how you got that information. Did they get compensated for it?
Oh, I know.
So even an accreditation is something.
Sure.
But when you're taking credit for someone else's work, go to hell. Sorry.
In a perfect world, that would be really awesome. It's funny because we had, we did a pre-record yesterday that I always say is sort of a pre-record that went the other way. But anyway,
a little bit.
Just talking about, we asked this question because he was talking about UFOs and abductions and things like that. And I said, okay, well, what do you have to say about the negative blood type? And Linda Moulton Howe's name come up right away. And I know she researched it. I know she talked about it. But I also know it did not start with her. It started with Joe Montaldo and Icar. And all of a sudden, everybody runs with it. And now it's this thing. And after a while, you just seem to forget the origin of the research.
Yeah. Broken telephone becomes very convenient for some.
Sure.
Sure. I had to mute my mic because I was dropping everything when I moved that.
Oh, that's good.
Like
the shuffle today, Bubbles.
It's just like, it's just an echo of my day. Oh, and there goes the other one.
There goes the alarm. The dog. Yeah, there we go. So that's quiet at my house.
He barks at any package that's at the front door. We always ask him if there was any coke or meth in there. And he barks at anything that's different in the house. He's old. He's 14. So
So starting to get that senile
Oh God,
stage.
he can't even see half of what he's barking at. So I don't get it.
Funny.
Yeah.
Okay, I have sent off the link. So did you want to start off to be safe on the bios?
Yes, I will give a brief intro. Natalie Zett is a writer, actor, photographer, and a musician who has worked as a freelance journalist for magazines and papers since her late teens. During the last few years, she became a family historian, which we'll lead into shortly. Natalie is a proud graduate of Ursuline College, Pike, Ohio, where she majored in business administration. She also graduated from Luther Seminary, St. Paul, Minnesota, where she received an MA in Systematic Theology, which comes really good with everything else tonight. Natalie is drawn to misplaced and forgotten stories because they're more compelling than the world would let us to believe.
Wow. I'm anxious to see, we all have interesting, well, I won't say we all, but a lot of people have interesting lineage. I have thoroughly enjoyed researching, my family's history, and it somehow became my job after that. It just, got passed down from my uncle, all the notes, all the pictures, because he wrote like a really big hardcover book that was essentially, the family. And he's like, okay, now you're in charge. And I got all of this stuff. Like, how did all this come on to me? Well, you research. Well, yeah, dead things. Well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, I research, but it's just, I'm like, okay, well, I guess so. So I guess it's sort of like her role, the family historian. But it really is an honor to be a caretaker of all this amazing information. And there she is.
Hey,
Bam.
Hello. Hey, how are you?
Hey, how are you? Where are you? Where are you? You look in a you're such an elegant place you're in. Oh my gosh.
I was like wondering what you're talking. Where are you? I'm like, she can't see us.
Yes, like, where are we? I know, we're here.
No, yes. I know you're there. But like the where is the where, it's like,
yeah.
Well, you're both in the East Coast or where?
No. Yeah. Well, no, actually we're in Canada. Streaming from New Orleans.
We don't use that word though, but that's cute.
Yes.
Listen, my in-laws are in St.
use
Catherine,
it.
And they do use it. Okay, all
they're
right.
in between Michelle and I. They're in St. Catharines. They literally live in the middle of both of us. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it up there. Can we come live up there? We were going to go live in our cousin Helen's basement until this all passes through. So
yeah,
I don't know. Right now, I think you got people trying to go the other way.
Do you really want to come here? Have you seen our leader?
You've seen ours, okay? You've seen ours.
They're not that different.
The other thing is going to Slovakia, where they have a really nice woman presence where my family's from. It's like, well, it's a little bit of a stretch, but hey.
It's a little too close to the war zone.
It is. Yeah, I've got cousins in that as well. So yes, it is.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that's rough.
So I think we're all affected, but thank you. It is. It's every day is something. So 2022, what a year, huh? But you all are doing well. Yes.
Yeah, we're doing really well. We're pretty fortunate. I mean, for now.
For now, yeah, exactly.
For now, worst case scenario, can always just go jump in the gorge if it gets really bad. It's 450-foot drop.
Return to the ooze. Return to the primal ooze that we are meant to be. So yes, it is. It is something, isn't it? But glad you're doing your show.
The show. Thank you. The show is, and considering it's when. It was sort of conceived in end of 2018, 2019, and around there, sort of took off like a bullet. It was just like, what happened?
It was, we need you. That's why we need you. Yeah.
And thankfully we met Joe just before everything shut down. So that's why we're still on air.
Well, yeah, because we were actually, we were
in a station
and syndicating here. And this was, this
really,
was
yeah. We weren't originally here. We were in Niagara Falls.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Well, been there. Love it. Beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's St. Catharines. Yes.
Yeah.
I lived in Detroit too. So I used to go back and forth to Windsor a lot.
Oh,
I used to want to just stay there, just never come back. So I liked it.
Now we swim across. I can meet you out in Fort Erie.
I was going to say,
I'll pluck you out of the river.
I always tell Joe that. Just come on over.
Windsor. I'll pluck you out over the river. Okay, I'm down. Let's do it.
Okay,
Okay,
do it,
Google
baby.
for
Okay.
Erie.
Okay,
Just,
all
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I'll be
There's
there.
3
Yes.
bridges you can use to cross, not all of
Ambassador
them.
Bridge.
Actually,
Yeah.
you
And
have for now. Yeah. Well, here
Really?
there's 3 of them in Niagara.
3.
There's
Oh,
3 in Niagara. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you've got
forgot how we
Fort
even
Erie, you
got
have
there.
Lewiston, and you have the Rainbow Bridge.
Well, the Rainbow Bridge. That sounds perfect. I need to go across that one. Well,
That's
maybe that's where the pets go.
That's probably the longest
Nix
wait
that.
because it's over Niagara.
That's got a bit of a double
I have
meaning.
I have cats
trying to
outside.
keep
They
up.
heard that, I'm sure. Okay. Sorry,
Yeah.
kitties.
I'm
Mama
just
doesn't
trying
mean
to
it.
keep
Okay.
That bridge is probably the most crowded because it's right
it?
at the falls. Yeah, because they're coming
Oh, it's so
across
pretty.
to use
Everybody
the
wants to see
casino,
the
right?
falls.
And the
Oh, I
casino.
suppose, yeah. I've been to
Yeah.
that casino. Oh my gosh, that was crazy. It was so clean.
Just go to the Nexus Bridge, and I could literally just throw stones at you and just go, I'm over
Okay.
here.
You stone me again, okay? I think that happened in other lifetimes. Please don't do that
I
again,
think we've
Michelle.
all been there.
I've
I
been
think all 3 of
stoned.
us have been stoned.
Burned
not
and
in
stoned.
Depends on
not
the
in
kind
that
of
kind of
stone we're
sense, but in the
talking, I
rocks.
think,
The rocks,
but, yeah.
people, not the weed.
Yes, yes.
This is going to be a crazy night, I can tell. Okay, this is good. I like it.
Oh,
Okay,
oh,
go,
you have
ladies.
no
I love
idea.
it.
You have no
Okay.
idea. It's really laid back. You'll
Oh, is that
find.
real? I love it.
So we were just talking about, because Amelia was reading a bio about being the family historian, as sort of a title that it was bestowed onto myself so I can completely
Oh, you can
understand. Yeah, absolutely. So what led you, why don't we start off with humble beginnings and what led you to, because I'm really fascinated by your story with all of this. What led you to pretty much where you are now? I'll let you take it wherever you want to start.
Sure. Would you want me to start now? I can do that.
Sure.
All
Why
right,
not?
let's do it. Well,
We're
I
live.
could have been voted least likely to become a family historian because I kept trying to get away from my family. I come from I'm a coal miner's granddaughter from Johnstown,
Oh,
Pennsylvania.
wow.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. We're from the hills. Okay. And so my
Pennsylvania's
dad was
beautiful.
well, that part is gorgeous. It really is,
love
but it's so poor.
Pennsylvania.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. It's so
very
poor.
pretty, especially in the fall.
Yes. Oh, it is. It's just that's where my heart is, in Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
I love
But
it.
so I'm from there. But my dad was a radio performer. He had a radio show, and work was not really. It was tough. So he, like so many of the people in the family, moved to Cleveland, and that's very humble beginnings, working class all the way. And so my parents, my sister and I lived in Cleveland, and let's just say I was different than the rest of the family, and I often felt that difference. And I thought, oh, I just needed to go and differentiate myself. And I had artistic inclinations. I wanted to do this, that, and the other. And when you're from that kind of background, it's like, well, who do you think you are? And it was one of those types of things where I thought, I'm not sure, but I really think I needed to do some things. I had some sealed orders I came in with that I needed to fulfill. And hey, Johnstown, Zachman, okay, with a cigar. Yes, you look like, are we related? Could be. Anyway,
There
so
we go.
anyway,
Amongst family.
anyway, how you doing? You want a gob? Anyway, so that's the Johnstown thing. So I wasn't supposed to do that. I really wanted to get away from family, and I started leaving at age 17, 18. I lived actually over in the beautiful UK for a while doing theater
Nice.
work.
Yeah.
And then I went to school in Ann Arbor. I was there for a few years, lived in inner city Detroit, was there for a few years. Then I kept going back because, no money, so back to Cleveland. I thought, oh no, I'm not going to work in the post office like mommy. So I finally finished my education after a very checkered life and a career.
Right.
And I decided to travel with a girlfriend of mine. Oh, this was like about 25 years ago, to this place called Minnesota. And I'd never been to Minnesota. And I thought, what's up here besides cows? I really didn't know what was going on.
I thought they had Vikings.
We have that. We have that. We have other things too that aren't rather not so great. But so anyway, I just thought there was nothing up here but farms and cows. And I thought, okay, let's, it's a getaway. I've never been up there. And so on the way to Minnesota, we stopped off at Chicago, another place where I hadn't spent a whole lot of time. And as soon as I was in Chicago, something started happening. We were maybe there for 2 or 3 days, and I started to feel weird. I started to feel like there's something about this place that, without knowing my history, their extensive history in Chicago, but there's something about Chicago. What is it? And as we traveled, you sort of travel sort of northwest through Wisconsin to get to Minnesota. The closer we got to these different little towns in Wisconsin, I kept feeling like this emotional amp up. There was not like I'm going to cry or whatever, but I thought, I know this place. And at that point in my life, even though backtracking back to Johnstown, my dad's side of the family, very colorful characters, Eastern European all the way. We're Romani, we're Rusin, we're Ashkenazi Jewish. We tell fortunes. We do all kinds of stuff, carnivals. That's that side of the family. The dead, we just talk to them, whatever. But I kind of wanted to distance, trying to be sophisticated here. These are not the people you want to. I mean, it's like when I used to think of my family, I thought, besides the fact I wanted to leave it to Beaver family, and I always say this, I ended up with the Munsters or the Addams family. They were also, when you think of Eastern European people, you think of Count Dracula and the villagers. And I thought, those are my people. And I thought, oh, come on, I wanted to be different. And so I wanted to distance from everything that I was, because I wanted to recreate myself in my image. But in the meantime, I'm traveling up to Minnesota, and I thought, this is so strange. It feels like home. And so, and so fast forward, I decided I've got to move here, and it made no sense. People said, Minnesota, it snows there. Besides the cows, there's snow. And I thought, oh my gosh. But actually the Twin Cities is very sophisticated, very fun, very with it and eclectic. And I went to graduate school up here at Luther Seminary and got a master's degree in systematic theology. And I launched a nice writing career. I was working. I had to get a real job eventually, because you got to pay for grad school after that's done. So I got a job in IT, but I founded a theater company. I was writing. I was doing all this really fun, creative stuff. And I thought, what could be better? And I saw my family. It wasn't like, I don't want to ever indicate that we had some major blow up, but it was just like, I'm sorry, you guys, I'm not like you. I apologize for being me, but I have to be me. But I thought, I'm just not like you at all. Anyway, fast forward, 1996, my father died, and he was relatively young, and it was sudden. Well,
my mom
that's
passed in
death.
96.
Oh my gosh. Okay. It was a hard year for a lot of people. And at that point, I don't know what you felt like when your mom passed, Amelia, but when my dad passed, it opened my heart and my life up. And I felt really weird and really different. And just, it was like everything and all the stuff that I had rejected. I thought, oh, why did you do that? And whatever. A lot of guilt, a lot of recrimination. And I think that was actually fine, because if you don't feel self-reflection at certain junctures in your life, that means you're probably a narcissist, which I'm not. So it's just like, whoo. But what happened was, about a year after that, my mother's sister in Chicago, who I thought was dead, was a writer at one point in the 1930s for one of the Chicago papers.
How exciting. 1930s. Wow.
In the 1930s, yeah. So my mom's older sister was almost 14 years older than she. That's a story too. But so anyway, so she sent this family history to me, and she said, I don't think you know anything about your family on this side. And that would be my mother's family in Chicago. And I thought, no, I don't. And I thought, for one thing, I thought my aunt was dead. And I thought, that's how close we were. I thought you died years ago, but it's like, oh. And then I started reading what this woman had done. And you guys, it was just spectacular. So well put together, so accurate, so precise. And I'm reading about my mother's mother, who died when my mom was 3. This is why I didn't know her. But they immigrated eventually to Chicago, though they started off in Johnstown. From this group was from Prussia, Poland, and now Poland now. Wow. And the other group, my dad's family, came from what is now Slovakia, Ukraine. That's my family. All my grandparents came from these different fun areas of Eastern Europe. So they moved to Chicago for work, I guess. I don't know. And my grandmother had a huge family, which I didn't know. I had all these aunts and uncles, never heard of them, didn't know anything about them. And then I'm reading this thing, and I'm a journalist. I'm writing for all these local papers and stuff. And I stop at this story, learning that my grandmother's 19-year-old sister was killed when a ship capsized in the Chicago River, along with 844 people.
Wow, that's a huge loss of life.
Have you ever heard of the Eastland disaster of 1915?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Okay, great.
Wait a minute.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
The paranormal side. Sorry.
So what gets real paranormally, but at this point it was just like something that I saw, and I think because my dad had died, And because I was open, otherwise I think I would have taken that document. That's interesting, throw it in a drawer. But I thought, what is this? I got to connect to these people, whatever. And I read about this woman. This is like 1997, 98. And if you remember back then, the internet was a thing, but it wasn't the thing it became.
Mm.
And there was no information about this alleged Eastland disaster. And I thought, God, did my aunt make this up? How could something happen in Chicago? I thought
And you don't
Chicago
know
loved,
about it.
yeah, Chicago's kind of a weird place.
Everybody
with
knows
the
everything in
high-
Chicago. Yeah.
Everything happens in Chicago. Things
That's
blow up
right.
in
That's
Chicago. And I thought, why did this if this is a thing, and I didn't know it was a thing at that point, why did this happen?
Mm.
And then I went to the library. Remember the old days of going to the library trying to find things? There was
I
nothing.
do. Yes.
There was and I thought it was vexatious to me as a journalist and as a general snoopy person who gets obsessed about something. I thought, why is there nothing about this? And I thought, And so the more obsessed I became, I kept going. I now was visiting my mother's older sister in Chicago, trying to glean information from her. She was a wealth of information. And she said, Natalie, this happened. I said, well, why is there nothing about it? Why does nobody know about it? And so I thought, ugh. So she gave me photos of my great aunt, who was a lovely woman. I mean, she was barely 20 years old when she passed away, and it was a brutal way to die too. My grandmother, my mother's mother, identified her in this morgue where all the bodies were laid out in this 2nd Regiment Armory, which fast forward became Oprah Winfrey Studios. So there's so many weird things that happened.
That's
story
why
just
I
gets
found
weird.
out about it. But
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
waiting for you to
Yes.
tell that part.
Yeah,
That's
that
how I
one-
found
oh,
out
that's-
about it, because she actually did a little show on
Razzmatazz,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. She
Because of
she
Harpo
did.
Studios. Yes.
Yes. So so it's just like the story just piles on. But I thought I've got to write about the story. So I took my great aunt, my living aunt, her name is Pearl, her stories, the reporter, let's call her Reporter Pearl. She's alive. She's still talking to me. So we're writing the stories down. And I thought I've got to, excuse me, complete this story, finish it with as much information as I have, which I really didn't have much. And the story felt forced. And I thought, I've got to see the grave. So I drove down there by myself to see the grave, which is like a 6-hour drive. So I stopped in La Crosse, Wisconsin, which is kind of a halfway point, and I stayed there overnight. And it started to feel weird again to me. And I thought, what is going on in this room? There was like a buzzing and noises and stuff. I didn't feel in danger. I didn't feel like it was somebody outside. It was like somebody's in here with me, and I can almost see them. At this point, it's like I'm not grooving on the paranormal aspects of life at all. I really distanced myself from that. And I thought, you know what? Something's going on in this room. It was like as the night went by, it was like things in the room. I don't know if you've ever had this experience where they almost like come apart, demolecularize, come back together. And I thought, oh my God. And so that was happening. And then I felt like I was being touched by somebody. And I thought, I wanted to run, but I thought, where am I going to run? There's nobody in here. And I thought, did Dad's death really take me over the edge? I mean, my mind was going this way, that way, whatever. And I thought, this stuff doesn't happen to people, except it was happening to this people right here.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next day in the morning, I planned to drive to the cemetery, which is in outside of Chicago in a little village called Justice, very rural. And so I woke up without an alarm. I thought, okay, that stuff didn't happen. This is what happens to me with my earlier years and with this sort of stuff. It's like I immediately say, this didn't happen. Okay, we're going to go forward. And as I drove confidently toward the cemetery, I realized it's Labor Day weekend. Is the thing going to be open? It was open. And I thought, I don't know where the graves are. I've never seen these people before. And as I went to this cemetery, it was massive. And it's connected to, if you read The Hauntings of Chicago, Resurrection Cemetery, they Resurrection Mary, the hitchhiking ghost.
Yes.
They share the same. Everyone knows Resurrection Cemetery, but Bethania, they share the same ground. So it's huge if you've ever seen it. And so I didn't know what to do. Nobody's there. I parked my car and I tried to go up and down, up and down. I thought, I'm insane by this time. And there was a groundskeeper. And I said, do you know where these people might be? He said, you'll never find them. I said, they're my family. I will find them. I thought, I don't know what I'm talking about. And as I kept going back and forth for 45 minutes, crying, by that time, no sleep. And I thought, I'm a crazy person. And then I walked back to my car and something like, I tripped over something. And I thought, was I pushed in this direction? I turned around and all of a sudden saw that I had parked right in front of their graves.
Oh,
I didn't even
wow.
see it. I didn't see it
Come
the first
on,
time. I don't know
really?
why. I don't know why. And it's a huge,
That's crazy.
well, it gets weirder because the headstone is quite huge. I actually have it on my website. It says, it's massive marble headstone. It says in German, Auf die Island, ruhet in Frieden. On the Eastland, rest in peace, Martha Pfeiffer, 1895 to July 24th, 1915. Right there beneath her is her little sister who died when she was 3. Behind them were
Oh.
my great-great-grandparents. And when I went there, it's so huge you could sit on it. So I just sat on it and I just started crying. I thought, how did this happen? How did I find you? How did I not know about you? So it's just like, I was an emotional wreck, but I thought, I found you. And I felt as if that's when it switched from a research project to something else. And as a journalist and as somebody that works a lot in their left brain, I thought, okay, I don't know what this is, but it is something. I knew enough to pay attention without superimposing a story, a quick explanation. I thought, let's let this unfold. Let's see where this is going. Let's see if anything happens on the way back. So saw the grave, took photos, collected some stones. I thought, I'm going to go back and write that story now, and it's going to be a solid ending. And I went back to my little apartment in St. Paul. At that point, I was living near where I went to school, a little 1-bedroom, humble but cute little place. And so I was in my little office in my bedroom typing, and I had one of those tiny little apartments where you have the little bitty kitchen and all this stuff. And I heard this crash in my so-called dining area, which is like maybe a few feet away from my bedroom. And all the stuff in my top of my refrigerator was on the floor. And I thought, we're not on an earthquake fault line up here. And I thought, what happened? Because the stuff was pretty much, if you live in an apartment, you shove everything on top of the refrigerator. That's your storage place. It's like, total,
Nobody will see it up there.
Nobody else will see it up there. Those bounty tools.
Maybe a tall person,
including you,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly. It's like, I never saw it, but somebody saw it and it was off the refrigerator. So I thought, okay. And then put it back on. I thought, by then it was like, oh no, come on. By the third time this happened, I thought, what do you want? And I was starting to talk to the air. And then I was really scared. And at that point, I called Mommy, because my mom's in Cleveland. I said, Mommy, I said, just come back from Chicago, and I bought, some rocks, and I bought some Polaroids. I'll make some photos for you. So you only had, Polaroid camera at that point. Digital, it's not quite the thing.
Right.
I said, Mommy, I think I brought back something else from Chicago. She said, well, what's that? I said, I think I brought back Aunt Martha, the one that was killed in the Eastland. She said, what? I said, I'm not sure, but I said, it's highly likely that something came back with me. And she said, well, she's a relative. She's not going to hurt you. Then she hung up, because my mom was very much of that kind of, it was too overwhelming for her.
Yeah,
She
don't
was
just
open to
acknowledgement is just a thing. Yeah, don't go
So
there.
here I am, finished my article, and then things started escalating in terms of those types of experiences within my apartment, and the feeling like, do this, do whatever. And I thought, oh my God. So I think it was unnerving, and I think it needed to be unnerving, because I thought, okay, we're going to just follow this. And there was no one to talk to. I had a couple very close friends, other than my psychic relatives, who were just like, yeah, sure, it happens, but they were quite a distance away, geographically, so they weren't much help. And the people that I talked to that were in my friends circle, they were good. And I had one really good friend, and I modeled the friend in my story about on this one friend. But mostly I was alone, and mostly I had to learn how to deal with this on my own and go to a place where I had no guidance. And unfortunately, some of the places where there were people were a little bit too eager to explain things and too eager to kind of get caught in the psychic drama of it. I said, wait a minute, I grew up with real psychics. This is not how you handle this stuff. You handle it with respect.
Right.
You don't go jumping in. And I
Yes.
thought, okay. And I learned in life, as well as, dealing with the afterlife folks. It's like, I only want the good people coming in. There's enough clowns on the other side in my family, and the living ones. There's some living ones too that I rather would not deal with. So this is who I want to come in. If this is happening and I still don't believe it, you're going to have to guide me. And I said, what do you want? What do you
Mm.
want? And so the best thing was writing that article. And at that point, the little paper I was working for was not online, but it started to travel. And no one knew about this. So I didn't really emphasize the supernatural stuff because I had to be taken seriously, don't you know? But I
Mhm.
just talked about finding things, whatever. And
Right.
so I found that little article was not enough. And I began looking through the rest of this document that Chicago reporter Pearl sent to me. And lo and behold, I found something else. My great great grandmother, that's on the same line of family that I'm talking about, they had immigrated too to Western Wisconsin, about an hour outside of where I had moved. So in
Hmm.
other words, the familiarity that I felt in Chicago, the familiarity and the recognition that I felt when I first traveled up here, and this desire to move, I had moved to the mothership and I didn't know it. And in a weird way, one point I was telling my Starbucks barista, remember we used to be able to go out and I'd get coffee in the morning when I'd go to work. I told her this story and her jaw dropped. She said, "Oh my God, you almost made me drop the coffee." She said, you're not from here?" I said, "No." I said, "Do I look like I'm from here? I'm only 5'3" and I'm not a Viking. I mean, come on. But oh my God. She said, "Oh my God." And she said, "You're," and I found, I mean, basically I've been to family reunions. I started to contact those folks in Western Wisconsin. Most of them have passed away since this was like, late 90s, early 2000s. They were lovely. They received me, but it was the weirdest thing to find this whole branch of family that I kind of looked like, they kind of looked like me, but they were farm people in these small, small towns and very religious. And here I am, kind of the freakazoid for other relative, but they were so welcoming to me. It's just like, "You do
Tell me.
what? You do what for a living?" Yeah, well, I didn't even have the hair, but
Yeah.
I'm a little out there. And so that's kind of that's kind of it in a nutshell. I got a whole other set of relatives now. But what struck me again, more than the supernatural experiences, it's like, how did I know, or how did I hear their voices to come up here? And one of my friends, who's a fairly well-known author, she said, "Natalie, maybe you're the only one who would hear them."
Makes
So
sense.
it made sense. So
Yeah.
then fast forward the book publishing journey, I felt I didn't want to write a book. I only ever wanted to write articles, and that's how I made a lot of my living, as well as my IT job, as well as everything else. But I thought, it wouldn't let me go. And so trying to get a book like this published when you're not a known entity was very, very difficult. Very, very
Mhm.
difficult. And when I did get interest, it was like, "Well, we'll take it if you do this, if you take this out or do whatever." I thought, "No, I'm not going to do that. I have to write it as it happened." But I still struggled. And then in the midst of that, I was in a big car accident, which created some, head trauma,
Oh,
little memory
Oh my
loss, a little weird
gosh.
stuff. And it took
Yeah.
about, this has been quite the journey, about 7 years to maybe longer to kind of come back, pick the book up again. And then again, I had to, thank God I took good notes, because memory stuff kind of got a little messed up in there.
mm,
And so way fast forward, I'm not gonna go into every freaking detail, but the last couple years or so, the thing of independent publishing, self-publishing became a respectable thing. And I thought, I'm going to do that. And I had no idea how to do that, but I followed some mentors, and there's some wonderful helps for that. And so I did it. And as I was getting ready to do the the final edits for the thing in December, my mother, who had been in hospice, my mom's gone to death's door many, many times. And I thought, "Oh, mom, she was kind of heading there again." But I thought, "Oh, mom, she'll be okay." Something said, "No, no, she's got to have this book." And I published it very quickly. I didn't even get the second line of edits in. I thought, she has to see it. I don't give a damn who else sees this. It's for her. This is to
mhm.
heal her matrilineal line. I said, "Mom, I did it." And she said, "Well, I hope I don't croak before I get a chance to hold it." And my mom has this gallows sense of humor, and I do too. So I published it on my dad's birthday, December 27th, got it to her, I think the second week in January, and she was dead by the end of January.
Wow.
Oh, so
So that
Wow.
was the
sad.
most
Sorry.
important thing. That, well, thank you, thank you. But and it is. I'm only now, I would have to say, the shock of publishing that book, thinking no one would really be all that interested in it, and also thinking, "Damn it, I didn't get those last set of edits in." But somehow it's the book. What I've learned about it is much bigger than I am. It's much bigger than I realized. And everybody, if they do read it, They bring their story to it, and they'll see things that I've never seen. They'll see things that aren't even there. But that's the weird thing about it. And what I have learned, and I think given your show, the book has its own power, and it doesn't like certain people that wanted
No,
to get involved with it. Yes.
my kind of book. I
Yes,
like it.
ma'am.
Yeah, just buy a
Needless
few
to
copies, pass it around.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's one of the things I've learned through going through this process is that again, the discernment is always necessary. So if any, and I always hope and pray to Hecate or whoever I'm talking to now at this point, that those who hear the story are inspired. Don't look at mine all that much. I mean, it's a weird, quirky story. It's stuff all over the place, but look at your own life.
Mm.
There might be somebody back there, even if you feel like you're not like any of your family members. Whoa, what a surprise. You might find somebody. Take the time to get to know them. The dead will speak. They'll
Oh.
speak maybe in the small, still voice. They'll speak through newspaper clippings. They'll speak through other family members, but they do want to connect with us. Not all of them, but I always say be discerning. Use your judgment, and you do grow, and then trust that you can do this. Trust that you can even go to some fairly risky places and pull out of it because of the wisdom that you have from these people. So I always encourage people to do their own, if it's not writing, do like what you're doing, do YouTube, do whatever. And I have been a writing teacher at the Loft Literary Center in Minneapolis, St. Paul. So I do teach the stuff as well.
Mm.
But it's also look at your own life. Dare to go into that past. And I have found some characters in my, because I became a family genealogist. That was the way I became a family genealogist, through my late great Aunt Martha, Elizabeth Pfeiffer, barely 20 years old, rest in peace, but she's not resting. And I really do feel as if she has had a hand in a lot of what's happened. I think that, I guess sometimes I clutch my heart and I think, oh my God, what would my life have been like without her? Reconnected to my family. And again, my dad's death kind of started this process in 1996, and my mom's death launched it into the world. So it very much is a family story, and we're far from, you would even call us normal, let alone perfect. We are the Addams family. We're kind of a bunch of kooks, but we are who we are. And I've been able to connect with so many other family members. And because I do genetic genealogy as well as record searches for people, I've been able to find people for people, long lost families.
Wonderful.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And that too comes with the need for a lot of discernment. I oftentimes find things about people that it's like, whoa, when I'm working with somebody, it's like, okay, I found some things and I'm probably going to find some more things. Be prepared. Even as I don't know if you all have done the DNA test, but even as I was doing those and my mom was still living and still fairly functional, I said, Mom, we might be finding out some stuff because Dad was a handsome radio star before you married him. And she said,
Brace yourself.
that's okay. She said, if we do, we're going to be nice to whoever we find. And I haven't found anybody quite like that yet, but I think I just tell people expect the unexpected.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so that's in a nutshell. I feel like I've been talking so long and my voice is going, but I hope that was
We just
engaging
started.
enough.
Yeah.
Really? We just started? Oh my God.
Oh yeah, we had
So-
at least an hour to
so
go.
We've got an hour to go. Okay. I
Yeah.
talked
Oh,
fast
no.
because I'm going to eat.
I,
But
I think it's great. I mean, you it's almost like not only did you find your family's history,
yes.
you're being a theologian, you're a pretty logical individual. And all of a sudden you are discovering your whole paranormal side and your abilities. And I know, the dead do speak. My grandfather was notorious for doing this to me all the time. You have to go to France. I don't want to go to France. You got to go to France. No, I'm not going to France. I go on a vacation. You're not going to France? No, he's dead. No, I'm not going to France. Not yet. I'll go to France next year. But it's just they push you in the direction that you're supposed to go in. And I found my entire lineage, a huge part of my lineage in France.
Wow.
So it was just
that name. Wow. Yeah.
Well,
So-
he'd leave things on my PVR. I'd ask everybody, okay, who put this on the PVR? Nobody. Right?
What's a PVR? Excuse me. I don't know what that is.
Sorry. When you're I guess it's like a recorder, but
Pre-recording.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
recording
Okay.
on for your
Personal
television.
personal video recorder,
Yes.
I
Oh,
think.
thank
Yeah.
you. See, I'm just so out of it here in the Twin Cities.
Me
we
too.
just-
because I
No,
was
no, no.
tongue-tied in
You
house.
probably
Really
call
found
it.
Yeah.
You probably call it something else in the
Some
U.S.
Canadian ding to American.
Yeah,
Okay,
maybe.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
that's all it is.
PVR. Now I know something. Okay, continue. I'm sorry, Michelle.
No, sorry. But the following time we connected, I'm like, did you leave that there? And his response was, now she
Wow.
gets it. Well, thanks for that. You have to
This is
bully me.
awesome.
Yeah. Oh, it was amazing because everything that was
Wow.
on that program was a big push into everything. I do believe they reach out. I believe that the dead, leave signs all the time, and the living just
Mhm.
fail to recognize a sign,
Mhm.
fail to
Mhm.
pay attention. Life gets
Mhm.
busy, you get pushed into different directions. When you were feeling these feelings of, there's something with this place,
Mhm. Mhm.
you were connecting to it, and did you know that you were making a connection, and did you feel you were being pushed into, picking up on all of this? Or was it
At
just
this,
like, I don't
at,
feel right here and I don't know why?
yeah, it's. You're asking really good questions, Michelle. For one thing, when you said push, that resonated with me. It was almost like something was behind me. That first trip to Chicago, when I didn't have the background, I thought it was something that made me very uneasy, but not in a creeped out kind of way, like, oh,
Right.
because I loved Chicago, but I thought it was almost as if Chicago was speaking, if that makes any sense.
Sure does.
And I slowed down. I thought, there's something about this. It's like, I've seen this before, though I'd never been there before.
Hmm.
And it was uneasy. And it was almost like, and I can say this too, and I can back up a little bit. It was almost like, pay attention. This is going to come in handy at some point. I should tell you one other thing. When I was at seminary, I had a lot of student jobs. I was a writer. I did all these, weird student jobs that you do. I worked for an adoption agency in St. Paul.
Hmm.
And my job was, because I was a published writer, I'd get these jobs. You can write stuff, right? Yeah, I write stuff. So at that point, they had opened records for people. So if you were a birth child or a birth parent, you could get the information on your child or your parents. No identifying information, but I would take the records and I would write the biographical information for people. So say a birth mother was looking for her child, what happened to them or whatever, or most of the time it was a birth child looking for their parents. Every frickin' time that I did one of these, the child followed the path more or less of the parents. And again, this was well before 1996. And again, it was one of those things. I thought, God, what a strange bunch of coincidences after the 50th, 60th time. And I thought, at that point, even though I had gotten away from my family, didn't want too much to do with them, wanted to be myself in my own bubble of fun friends and everything, that maybe there's something to this. Maybe this whole, nature thing is more powerful than I realized. But I remembered that when I was putting the book together, I remembered when I started to put things into place, I thought, oh my God, I followed a path that I had no idea about. So I guess one thing is not unusual, but very few people talk about it. There is a writer, former Hollywood actor called Hank Z. Jones, who's written a couple books about paranormal experiences amongst genealogists. And most common one, I should say, is finding the graves of people that you've never been to the cemetery. And I told Hank, I said, I thought I was special, but I guess it's not I'm not special, damn it. Anyway, so
we think you're special.
I think you're special
Yeah.
too.
I think so. Can I just interrupt for 1 second, because there's a comment I just want to address. Kathy Lampert. FYI, audio is choppy in parts. Have to read closed captions. That, Kathy, would be on your end or Facebook's. It wouldn't be from this end.
No, we're all good at this end.
We're all clear. So if you're having a problem, maybe try another Facebook page or come over to YouTube and watch it.
Yeah, nobody else is reporting anything either.
No,
so.
no. Okay. That's usually when there's a cutoff like that. That's usually on the receiver end. It's usually your connection, your internet, or just restart that page. Okay, sorry.
Wow.
I just, because she's been there for a while.
Yeah, I want to address that for sure.
That's okay. Hope she can get back in. Yeah, I know how that is.
There's 8 different places she can be at. So
wow.
Yeah, so we do aim to please.
That's just the live. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Archives are 200 and something.
Yeah.
Whoa,
So there
it
we
looks like
go.
it's just us, which is interesting to me. But
Isn't
I
it
like that
weird?
feeling.
Yeah.
Yes, it is very weird.
Guess what? No.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy.
tell me,
Thank you
don't
for
tell me.
letting us know. Thank you for telling us.
Yeah, good luck, Kathy.
So why do you think that when you were digging into this history,
Mhm.
did you find out why this accident happened and why you couldn't find anything about it, or
Oh,
human
that I did.
error? Or just,
This
About the
is a
capsizing
mystery.
of the boat?
The capsizing of the boat. Well, why? Well, here's the thing. Why did it happen? Okay, so okay, I'm also from Johnstown, Pennsylvania, which is known for one thing too. It's big flood in 1889, right? So there's a
yes,
theme in the
yes.
family. Okay, wherever we are, some people won't even travel with me because of this, but um, that something happens. So with the Eastland, it was one of 5 ships that Western Electric. Do people know Western Electric anymore? Because I realize your mom
I
has
think
been
we
around
had
for a
that.
while. Okay, it
Yeah.
was like the equivalent of the Silicon Valley at one point in the late 19th, early 20th century. I mean, films, electricity, light bulbs, phones, everything. They were the be all end all. They had a big, massive plant, which was like a city in Chicago in a big area called Cicero. Anyway, so they had an annual picnic each year, and they were a big to-do kind of place. And they chartered 5 ships. The first ship, the Eastland, was made constructed rather in South Haven, Michigan, by the Jenks Shipping Company. The thing was created to be a speed queen, to be a racing thing. It was massive, but they kept modifying it to make it faster and faster and faster. And as they would take passengers, it started to develop what's called listing problems. Again, not a naval architect, but it would go one side to the other to the other. And then,
No,
it gets,
stabilizers.
they had the ballast and stuff, but here's the other things that happened though to it, which is just, if I die, I'm going to go chasing these people when I find them on the other side. So what they did was they had a slow season, and the Eastland event happened in July. They had a slow season. The previous season, they were losing money. And so what they decided to do, let's pack this ship, the Eastland, with, I think, double the number of people that it was supposed to take. And on top of that, remember the Titanic? It happened 3 years before the
I was
Eastland.
going to say, like, it
Yes, ma'am.
sounds a bit like make it faster, go faster, like a technology.
Well,
the
yes,
race.
so they make it. So the
gets
Titanic
better.
happened. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, so the Titanic happened, and so what they had to do was have lifeboats on top of the top-heavy ship,
Right.
for each passenger, and
Right.
With
then
no
it's even weirder.
stabilizer.
No stabilizer, and then they also used concrete on top of the ship to fill in the rot. So the ship was overcrowded. They think maybe 2,700 people were possibly aboard. They weren't sure, and they weren't on for just but a few minutes, and the thing started going one way, the other way, and one of the survivors said it was like an egg kind of like going over in the water. And people my great aunt was crushed and drowned beneath because she was in the hull because it was raining that day. Boiler making. Oh my God.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh. Okay. There were people that the crew jumped. They knew something was going to happen. They escaped, but then there were these heroes that came who were drilling holes in the side. People were just doing all kinds of stuff to try to help. People that were watching this thing take place were trying to help, so they were throwing anything they could into the water, sinking people, killing people. Yeah, so it was just like chaos.
And because everybody was leaning to one side to look, that didn't help either, because it was too many people. So they actually helped destabilize the ship.
They stabilized the thing. And I think it probably would have happened anyway. They said that was like people going to one side, but yeah, I think it was just doomed. Again, those lifeboats, I have in my book, the Titanic helped kill the Eastland because of the freaking lifeboats.
Right.
So
it's a very true statement.
And there were so anyway, it was just a matter of seconds, and all those people, the Chicago River was just a cesspool too. So that was the other problem. So when they were thrown into it,
Terrible. Yes.
it was, there was just so many things wrong. So that's why it happened. There was there were huge trials, and it's been a while since I've looked at all. To be honest, they're kind of painful to watch because it's like, oh my God, everybody was finger pointing. But there were definitely people on the take who got
For
what they
sure.
wanted and they
Sad.
walked away, right?
Yeah.
For
The
sure.
Red Cross helped. I got the Red Cross records, and they gave my great grandmother and the surviving children. My great grandfather had died about 18 months before my great aunt was killed too. So her husband's dead. Her oldest daughter, who was a wage earner for the family, was killed.
Mhm.
It was just bad news. So the Red Cross helped. There was some kind of Eastland Society that Western Electric had set up, or Eastland funds, excuse me, that Western
Mhm.
Electric had set up to give some money. I don't think my great grandmother and the children were poor, but they certainly weren't wealthy. But the
Mhm.
question why the Titanic has however many movies and there's no Eastland movie yet, I think a lot of it
Yeah.
has to do with class. Most of the
Mm.
people of our class were from Eastern Europe and Southern Italy, right? And the Southern
Mhm.
Italians were also treated not so well, as you probably know. Um,
Absolutely. My
yeah,
father's told me many stories.
yes, in Canada, my partner's also the last name is Benincasa, so I've heard some stories, and they were up in Thorold and St.
Mhm.
Catharines, and there's
Yeah.
stories, and it's like whoa,
Right.
the Welland Canal story, not so good. So
Oh, for sure.
anyway, yeah, so I know a lot of that too. So anyway, we were not the most popular people, so I think because we were working class, and also too, there was no post-traumatic stress acknowledgement.
Mhm.
People that did survive, and I've met, descendants of survivors, they just went on with their lives, much like they did with the Johnstown flood. And a lot of them cracked later. A lot of them
Yeah.
became alcoholics. No one
Yes.
wants
Yeah.
to
I
think
remember
about
the
that.
story. Yeah, it was
PTSD
Yeah,
terrible.
wasn't even acknowledged during
it wasn't
Vietnam. It wasn't
acknowledged.
acknowledged
No,
until the last, what, 30 years?
I suppose 30 years. So they just toughed
Yeah.
it out, drank their way through, or did whatever, and
Right.
didn't talk. I remember too, my grandparents, the ones who did survive, and the aunts and uncles who were from these, countries, they didn't talk about
No.
stuff. They just, we will get through, everything be okay. And it's just like, yeah, you're doing well. But that was just their way. And also too, I think we forget that back then, talking about feelings,
Mhm. Well, you didn't
manly
do
men
that.
from those eras, you don't do
Different
that. So
times. They
Well,
don't do
I
that.
yeah,
No.
just I just found out last year that my uncle,
mhm,
who is now 96, was a
yeah,
prisoner of war for 3 months with the Nazis, and I didn't know till last
yeah.
year. And I
They
didn't
didn't talk
find out
about
from
it.
him. I found out from someone else.
That's what often happens. I'm glad you have that, though. I'm glad you have that information, Amelia.
Yeah,
It's
well, I have a
important.
lot because I don't know if you noticed my last name. They built Pisa. So for me, it's very easy. It's my mother's side I want to search. My
Oh my
father's,
gosh.
I
So
just pick up a history book. It's
it's your
not a big
mother's,
deal.
I have to ask because my partner will ask which part of Italy?
Southern Calabria, like right
Yeah,
inside
that's where they're
the
from.
Ionian Sea.
Mangone, Calabria. That's where they're from.
I don't know where that is,
Yeah,
but we're
yeah.
right by Reggio, like just right next door.
She'll want to know. Okay, thank you
Yeah,
very much
the
for that
beaches are
because
gorgeous there. That's how I
are
know.
they? That's how
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
like
Oh
it
wow.
looks like the Caribbean. It's not. It doesn't look like the rest of Italy. It looks a lot like what
Wow.
Sardinia looks like, the water, because you have the three seas that all come
That's right.
together
That's
there.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
So,
gosh.
and if you're in Tropea, which is right at the tip, if you're there and you stand on the mountain where the cathedral is, the castle,
Uh-huh.
Casillo, you stand there, you can see where the three seas meet.
Oh wow.
It's a
You can
beautiful
see
spot. It's a beautiful spot. But it was actually named Italia by the Greeks before the rest of Italy became Italy.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
So
gosh.
that
Love
part,
it.
and then like Rome Campania up to there, to the south, was Italy at the time, way
Yeah.
back.
That's
But yeah,
that's incredible.
so
That's incredible.
but
Um,
yeah, my mom's side, I'd love to. I mean,
that
they're
would be
priests
great.
and gangsters and barons. I'd love to
You need to
research
talk to
them.
Pat. Anyways, well, as I said, we don't talk about that in the family, but yeah, we do. We do
Yeah.
have well, I have the colorful characters
You mean
too,
the
but
priests
yeah,
you don't talk about?
that we definitely want to talk about. But the other ones, it's like there was big business, as we say, going
Yeah,
on. So, but
there is. All of
that's
Europe is
okay.
like that.
Oh
All of
yeah,
Europe.
Eastern Europe. I mean,
Yeah.
God, we all have the big business. But what's interesting about your Italianness, before I met Pat, before I moved up here, I made my main character. Well, my main character is basically, in a sense, me, but the sidekick, the friend, is an Italian woman because
Oh
how
my
could she be?
gosh.
My closest friend was when in Cleveland was a woman called Lucky D'Angelo,
I
and I made
love
this character.
that.
I know you know that. So I said, look,
I love
look,
that name.
and she always yelled. She was always, her normal speaking voice was a yell,
Yeah.
but she was, so that's who I based. She's passed on, but
Oh,
I
I'm
had to
sorry.
honor her and make her, because she was that kind of friend.
Yeah.
The close friendship that I experienced growing up in Cleveland from these different Italian people, I thought I have to make the friend Italian, even
Oh,
long before I
that's
met my
sweet.
partner. Had to.
Yeah.
It just was. So yes, all these
That
little
is
things,
so
how they
sweet.
converge. Yeah.
And her
Well,
name
you
was
know,
Lucky?
her name was Angela D'Angelo, but she was
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah.
It was always a yell. Everything was, she yelled everything. But she
That
was
is so
my
funny.
defender. She was my fierce defender, and she was just a
Yes.
great friend. Yeah, she
Oh,
was.
yeah. Southern Italians are pretty
Oh yeah,
tough.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, and tight and loyal. That's the thing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway,
I don't know. I find it flies all over Europe too, but yeah, it's a
yeah.
different, it's because they're all hardworking families, right? They come from farmlands and all
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
labor, and it's just a different lifestyle in the South than the North.
Yes, it is. It
Yeah.
is very much like Eastern Europe, where my family's from. But it does. I think because of the humble beginnings, not to say that the extraordinary things didn't happen. The Eastland got lost for that as well. I think that's one of the
Yeah.
reasons. But again, I always like to have an answer, but I don't. I think that's my best guess. Working class people, we're not. There is a class system. Even when I was living in England, it's like, yo, you don't have a class system. I said, oh yes, we do. And if you're not from, that level, you're treated differently, and you have to kind of like scrape your way up. And then sometimes your own people will say, like my parents, who do you think you are? It's like,
Yeah.
so there is that struggle that has never really left. And so I think that's part of it as well. Can't really prove it, but that's one of the guesses. And again, because of the trauma, because there were no celebrities, again,
Unlike the
it kind of got
Titanic,
lost.
who had the ashes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And celebrities get treated differently, even if they're kind of celebrity-ish.
I believe even the architect of the Titanic was a bit of a celebrity himself as well in his
that's
field.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are my speculations, and it's just hypothesis at this point. But
the ship obviously went on to have another life.
It did, as a
because
Willamette, yes.
Because of Dolly's comment about her father's father being a boiler maker to re-equip the boat
for the Navy.
Yes, I think it got decommissioned in 1945. It was the USS Willamette.
So they kept quite the life.
Yeah, it did, with all the ghosts and everything else that were in that thing.
It probably cost too much to redo it too.
Oh God,
there was a lot of mistakes made with that.
Yes, it was a training. I think a training vessel. So
isn't that nice?
So that's well, it is a main character though. I mean, I sadly I wouldn't have had a book without that thing, but I thought it's also a way of claiming that thing as part of our history. And my grandmother too, I think she died of a broken heart when my mom was 3. She left Chicago to go back to Pennsylvania to marry my grandfather. This was her second marriage. Had my mom, died 3 years later. And I think she wanted to escape because she had to identify her sister. She had to deal with this stuff. So it's just like, but even without that, the trauma traveled down. Both my parents were born into tremendous trauma, and I'm amazed that they did as well as they did, both sides. And so it travels down to me, and I don't know what's going on. It's like you just kind of see the symptoms of something. But the healing part for anybody that starts to go back, you start to see what happened. Maybe not. Sometimes situations are not worthy of forgiveness. It's like, you know what? If there's some real scoundrels, it's like, but at least you understand and you stop blaming yourself. It's like, no, you're this way for a reason. And it's not because of anything other than the fact. My dad used to always say, it's in the blood. It's in the blood.
Well, it's like DNA. It's like imprinting.
Yes, it's imprinting. I think that's a great word. Yeah. And it's like, and when you know that it's imprinted, it's like, well, wait a minute. My mom's father was involved, let's just say, in some not so cool activities during World War II. I mean, even though he was living over here. My dad's side of the family is we have Ashkenazi, and my grandfather was, let's just say, the opposite of that. And I thought, you don't have to make that choice. When I tell the story, it's like, you don't have to choose to be one of those people. You can choose to be loving and accepting, because we are so many things. So if nothing else, many of these people serve as bad examples, and you can look at them and just say, oh, no way. And so they are instructive. So to me, it's like, bring them up, bring them forth, talk about them, tell their stories. I give more airtime to the fun people and the interesting people, but the other ones help make us too, and they're in
They've
us.
all got a story. They all had a
Oh
part to
yeah,
play
Yeah.
they
in the
do.
journey, right?
You have to be
Right.
grateful and thankful for every experience.
Whatever, and you take that experience and you remake it and twist it and do it, put your spin, and
Absolutely. Perspective's everything.
and it creates a healing. And I don't think healing is an arrival as much as a series of steps that we go through. And it's like, I don't think you ever land, but you can feel a lot better about things. And if your oddness, your strangeness. I met a long lost cousin a few years ago, and she used to think I thought I was so weird because I wasn't like, she didn't know of any of us. And she said, I thought I was weird. And she said, but you guys, you're all weird. I said, yeah, you're like us. You're a wacko. Embrace it. Embrace your insanity.
How did you feel
Make it work for
in that?
you
How did
know?
you feel in that moment, Natalie, when she said that to you? Like, how did you feel? Did you
Oh,
feel like you were
perfect.
home?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
think she felt like she was home. It was good to give her that because it was hard for her. It was just one of those unacknowledged situations. And actually, it was, again, she had a son who is one of those people who also seems to hear the voices, and he not through DNA, that came later, but he constructed a family tree because he was so driven and so curious. And he's a wonderful, wonderful person. I'm so glad he's in our lives. But he brought us all together. So it's just like, it's nice to see it go to the next generation after me. Cause it's like, who's going to pick up the torch? This guy, so it's just, but I think it was healing for all of us. But at first it can be shocking. At first it can be upsetting. At first you can get so angry. It's like, well, why didn't you acknowledge me? But I think when she saw all the psychics, all the practicing witches, all the stuff, because she was drawn to this stuff and she didn't know why. And she was kind of, I think, made to feel bad about it. I said, yeah, it's normal. You should
It's
see
just the
this
stuff in the
going
wood
on.
pile that you don't talk about.
Exactly.
Wouldn't
We
have
didn't
been
talk about it.
acceptable to talk about.
Yes. And when
No,
I
not
told
when
her,
we were growing up. No.
and certainly for,
No.
us, we talked about it, but it was one of those things where I just thought, oh, please, how kids are, you want to do the opposite of the family. But when I found out too, and I did some research, this is on dad's side in Slovakia, we had an ancestor who was indeed purged during the Inquisition, which made its way through Eastern Slovakia. So
Wow.
we did lose somebody there. So it's just like, I always felt that there was probably somebody that ran afoul, even though our family didn't come. We would have been in Salem too, I'm sure, but we weren't here at that point. But it's like, yeah, we did lose people. And yeah, that trauma does carry down. And it's just
It
like,
does. It
and I'm
does.
going to tell your story, and I'm going to stand up for, for being,
They're a
just
part
being
of you.
weird.
They're your blood.
And for
They're a
all of
part
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
For everybody, I have a feeling who's here right now probably can relate to some of that. And I just hope that, again, we honor the sacred ancestors who love us, not the other ones, but the ones who love us. And they give us power, I think, when we pay attention to them. And in a sense, they ask very little, but they give so much. And
Well,
they
they guide you, and
Yeah,
I think people need to spend more time, paying attention. I could have shrugged my grandfather off several times, and that doesn't even count the ones that were trying to connect with me from further back. I've
Wow.
had people from other lives trying to, come through, and I'm just like, I don't know who these names are. Like, and I apologize. I feel really bad. Like, I'm very sorry, or somebody from like way back that I don't have recollection of people, even from my family that go way, way back. And, but I mean, again, you go a lot of, working in this industry, I have a lot of, gifted people who would say, hey, blah, 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 blah. These people trying to connect with me. I don't know.
But I mean, my ancestors. Yeah, that's fine.
but yeah. And eventually when you dig, knowing what I know now, I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have. I mean, I was not very harsh, but I feel bad because I really didn't have anything to contribute to the conversation aside from thank you for reaching out.
That's great, though. It's welcoming. It's gracious. I always say, treat the dead the way you treat a living person who's well-mannered, of course, leave the stuff on my refrigerator and we can talk, don't bug me. But I think,
I'd never see it because I'm 5'3" too. So
it's like
my fridge is tall.
Yeah, we have a smaller fridge now, but that stuff's not allowed to happen in this house. But I think that but I think the whole thing about, I don't think of, to me, there's nothing super about the supernatural. To me, it's completely natural. And it's just like, don't get all some of the folks that when I was trying to get answers to this, I'd go, we have a lot of really good psychic folks in the Twin Cities. And there was one who was holding these classes, and she was wonderful. She was every bit as good as any of my relatives. But some of the people that came, I think they wanted something that couldn't be gotten in a situation like that. They needed deeper help rather. And a lot of it is part of this journey. It isn't glamorous. It isn't fun. It's painful. It can upend your life. And it's not always about the high that you get from, oh, there's magic. It's like, yeah, there is. But, you got to go through the valley sometimes, too. And that's also part of it. And the strength that it creates inside of you. I think that's the most important thing. And the maturity that it does require and the stability that it requires, I think, to do some of this stuff. I think some of the people just didn't want to go through all that.
It opens a door to a different world.
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to be prepared to step through that door.
Yes, ma'am.
And take everything that comes at you. But it's so rewarding because, people don't realize the energy it takes for a spirit to reach out. It's such a gift. Anything that they can give you, it's such a gift that you don't fear it. Just, just let it happen. I mean, be careful. There's a lot of stuff out there.
We don't want to make it too easy.
No, they don't. They don't.
We'll be clearing everybody.
Yeah.
But,
well, yeah, exactly. But to your point, though, you're absolutely right. It is about that. It is about discerning. It is about setting up, I don't know, boundaries. And maybe that's the best word for it, but not walls, but boundaries to just say, no,
absolutely boundaries. Absolutely.
And you do that with the living people too. And again, as I've learned, as I alluded to, this book seems to not love certain people and other people it doesn't like. So it's just like,
and why do you think? Why do you think?
I think
that's a curiosity.
It's a curiosity to me too. And I'm struggling only because this is a new awareness that I've had. When a person becomes, something, I mean, I'm very introverted and I'd rather just, Michelle Freed said to me, what's your goal? I said, to become an elderly recluse. I really that's my goal. I don't want to talk to anybody.
One of those eccentric old birds, aren't
you?
you?
Yeah, yes. You throw rocks at people like Emily Dickinson. But again, certain things that in activities that I've engaged in my life have drawn people that are interested for not good reasons. And so it's just like, and I'm fairly, I'm part of my family, so I can discern certain things. But when it's somebody who's close, when it's somebody who I'll let my guard down with, in some ways I hadn't recognized. There was a certain situation that happened recently. I didn't really recognize it was happening. And there was a way where this person who wanted to be overly involved with the book process or whatever, it was almost like every time this person would try to get involved, things would like blow up literally. And it was just like, they couldn't figure out what they were supposed to do. It was like, I thought it was like, there was a scrambler happening. I thought, wait a minute. I stepped back. I was looking at it from just the logical point of view. I thought, well, this is logical. Here's what you have to do, blah, 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 if you want to be supportive or help or whatever. It was almost as if the language was being, and I can't prove this, but I have a feeling somebody else had a hand in it. And my partner always says, there's a way where Aunt Martha does not want certain people involved. Okay. And that's it. And she makes it very clear that this person was not going to be involved. So it was almost like not a harmful thing, but it was almost like almost a trickster type of thing where, I'm going to pull the rug out from underneath you. And it was also when I recognized the other things and I stepped back and I saw what this person was doing. I couldn't admit it to myself. Then I admitted it. It's like, okay, no harm, no foul. We got out just in time. We got to put some distance between us. It was it was that small, still thing that happened that I probably wouldn't have noticed even, a few years ago. But I thought, wait a minute, this thing. So I think it has more power than what I realized. And as I'm doing the audio now for it, anytime I read it again and again and again, it's like something happens. And it's not always an emotional thing, but I can feel like a charge, even when it's the most frustrating, awful experience. It's like, it's damn microphone. This whatever. It's just there's the technical stuff what we just went through with the audio and stuff, but there's also this thing that seems to happen that seems to pull me upward. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but that's kind of it's kind of to you guys, I'm glad. But I'm in the midst of it. I'm in the midst of this discovery. So the book I think it has more to show me and hopefully other people as well. But that's my experience of it. And my experience is it's loose. It's in the world. I have no control over it. But it doesn't I think it wants to be a force for healing because so much injustice, not just for Aunt Martha, but for the 844
Mhm.
and their families and their descendants. I always say, memory eternal, in honor of all of you, I stand here for you. I
That
really
is
do.
so beautiful because you're the only one who's done that.
Do you
Well,
think
some
maybe they
people
need to
have.
get moved over?
No,
Do you think that's
I
why
mean
they're?
that you have this book, this story that they can
Oh,
go
that's a
Mm,
to.
particular story.
You're the only person who's done
mm.
that research, that work, and it probably means a lot to so many people
I hope
whose
so. I hope
descendants were
so.
on that boat.
Well,
I
yeah,
hope
there's a
so.
lot of families involved when you think about
Oh,
how many
yeah. Oh,
descendants came
yeah.
from 800
E-
people.
Exactly.
But do you think, do you think
Hmm.
they're having these issues from unfinished business? Do you think it's because there's so many here that are stuck that maybe need to be moved over?
I don't know. I think here's the nice thing that has happened. I should say there is an Eastland Disaster Historical Society. There are a lot of good things that didn't exist when I started doing this. So there are helpers on the way. Are there
Right.
people who are stuck? I don't think when I was thinking about that whole thing with my aunt, I thought, why is she throwing stuff off my, refrigerator? Why is this happening? I think not so much stuck. I think it was a choice to want to
Right.
be heard, to want to have that story told. I think honestly, I'm not an expert on dying because the closest thing I came was that car accident. I don't remember much of it. But I
Mm,
think people have unfinished business, let's put it that way, that
sure.
kind of continued with me. In other words, I think it's the same DNA,
Hmm.
same talent, same family. So I think in a sense, she's outside of me. They're outside of you, Michelle,
Mm,
Amelia, but they're also inside providing the
mm.
guidance. So it's like, are they really stuck? I don't think so. And maybe the ones that are in that condition, maybe there's something more to it. I don't know. But for my
Well,
immediate
sudden death
family,
sometimes leaves people
I
confused.
I I
They
know.
bounce
Yeah,
out of their
that's it.
body. They don't understand
A lot of
that.
Yes.
children too.
Yes, the
Yeah,
children. I
A lot
just
of
don't
exactly.
know
children are stuck because they don't understand what's happened, and
what's happened to
they're
them.
still on the same loop, the still same time,
Oh gosh. Do you think
so
Yeah.
it's
they
an
don't
imprint
know.
or is it a real thing or do you think, I
It
mean, a
could
real
be a
thing. It's
replay. It could be an imprint,
that's
but
what I meant because I don't know enough about that. I know of it
well,
because I've read it, but I just don't know enough about it. But hey, I'm open, it's like I want to ask that question now after
well,
we depart. I want to ask that question of them.
think
I just
of
don't know.
think of the amount of energy that gets released
Hmm.
for a spirit to leave the body times
Okay.
800 in one spot.
Okay.
So you're going to
Oh,
feel
okay. Okay. When you put it
quite
that
an
way.
impact for your just for the living going to visit this place are going to go, oh my gosh,
And the imprint of the
Hmm.
But
people, the witnesses on
sure,
the shorelines and the
but
bridges that had to watch that, the trauma is probably
Good
still
point.
there.
Good, good. Good
even if
point.
half of them were not
Hmm.
aware, that's still like, let's say hypothetically 400 people. That could be just like, help us, we're here. We want to finish this.
Um,
We want to move forward. We want to
you could
just
be
food for
right.
thought. Just
No,
food
this
for
is
thought.
good because it makes me in Oprah's studio, they would say her workers and she would hear things, by the way. So you're talking about that. And I do have to say, Michelle, you're making me think of something that I forgot when I went to it wasn't the disaster site, it wasn't even the grave. When I went to my great grandmother's home and the home where Martha left that day, that's where I felt things. That's where I felt the touches. And the woman who was doing the photography for the house, she said, I feel like somebody's touching me here. What the hell's going on? I said, I don't know. So there seemed to be something. I said, maybe they're still going on and walking through us. I don't know.
Well,
So there seem to be certain places, and it's not the places.
mm,
Sometimes I think I watch too many movies and stuff, but it's not the places where I think you think Hollywood would put them. It's the places where they choose to be. And the way
mhm.
they choose to act is not the way that I might have heard. They choose to act the way they act. And it's like, it's up to me to kind of go, whoa, okay, this is what you're doing. So I have more questions now than I ever did. Thank
Well,
you. I like
Oh,
Dolly says her
good.
grandfather was telling stories about that boat.
yeah.
Wow.
And she wrote, I now realize he
It's
was
true,
being
Dolly.
truthful. Sailors sometimes spin yarns. Thank you.
Oh yeah, there was truth. And there's a
So,
really
so they
nice,
were
if you
on
go
the
to
boat.
they were on the boat, if they were outside the boat, the Chicago Public TV has a documentary that's really well done. I was watching it again before to talk with you guys. It's hard to watch, but it's
Mm,
beautiful about the Eastland disaster. So you can watch the reenactment, which is really something to see, and the voices
mhm.
of the people, the descendants. And so it's coming. And there was also 100-year-old footage that was found in Amsterdam of the actual rescue. That was like only a
In
couple minutes ago.
Amsterdam. Figure
In
that one out.
Amsterdam, I
Yeah.
don't know
I'm
Amazing.
guessing somebody's family or someone who
guess.
witnessed went back and it stayed
maybe
there.
they don't know
Yeah.
how it got there, but they
If there
just
were
found it.
stories on that boat that he was seeing when this boat was refitted, you still have people on that boat.
Oh boy, oh golly. Whew.
That's
Well,
usually the way it happens. I remember the first time I heard about it, it was
Really?
on a paranormal show that I was actually a guest on, not
Wow.
hosting at the time. And there was an investigator who talked about it because he lives in Illinois and said how many spirits are still there and
Wow.
that the activity is phenomenal and great. But I also believe that it's the people who watched it happen as well. That energy,
Yes,
it may be residual,
absolutely.
it may be on loop, but it has to be there because I had the same experience when we were talking about 9/11 yesterday, the
Oh yeah.
Twin Towers
Oh, yeah.
Memorial, not the actual thing that happened. So YouTube, don't pull.
Okay.
But how the energy can be felt for blocks and blocks. It's not just there,
Wow.
but it's not
Wow.
necessarily the energy of
It's a
those
big
who
loss
passed.
of life all at one
Yeah.
time. It's an
That
imprint in
makes sense.
time.
Well, that and then the people rushing away, you know, like you have all those people that were running away from there.
Away.
So that just goes, the whole
angst, the
downtown
anxiety, the
Manhattan feels
Yes.
heavy.
I think you're onto something. In fact, I know you're onto something. You're getting me thinking again. All right.
Well,
I
I
like
can
it.
I can see it because I am a medium, so I can see this happening.
Oh,
It's not just a
awesome.
feeling, but it's crazy. Dolly says he was missing half of his right pointer finger. He said the
poor
boat
baby.
wreck.
The
The
boat
boat
took
wrecked
it.
it. Took it. Sorry.
Oh, so sorry. That's another. There were so many brave people that day too. That's the other ones. There were so many heroes and
Yeah.
heroines and just incredible. The best and the worst of humanity came forth that day.
I think we need to while we're pausing, just do a
Yeah.
quick station and
That's
sponsor ID,
Good idea.
please.
I'm having trouble seeing today, so
Oh.
sorry about that.
That's all right.
You
I
are
gotcha.
listening to
I
The Outer
gotcha.
Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans on 105.3 FM radio. Tonight we have Natalie Zett in the house, author of Flower in the River, a family story finally told. Stream or listen to our archives on the platform that you normally use. A shout out and thank you to the amazing people at Folgers Coffee for fully sponsoring our show from the very beginning. We love you and we thank you so much. And also a huge thanks for our intro and outro to Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, Justin Snicker, award-winning composer and musician. You can find his music on Amazon and Bandcamp. Check him out. He's on social media on Facebook and Instagram.
And since we are a little bit on paranormal topic, and since we're on a Folgers topic, we have a lot of guests and listeners who will send in their version of Folgers coffee, gives them a little plug for who they are. Folgers actually does watch the show. So here we go. This one is from Renee Dykes.
Hi, Renee Dykes here. I'm with Paranormal Adventure Events. Also, my team is Tennessee Night Stalker Paranormal Intrigue. And as people know, when you go on ghost hunt, you've got to have the go juice. And what's scarier than the mug that I have right here is not having this right here. I even carry my own K-cup coffee maker with me, a little mini, when I go on ghost hunts around other states. Yeah, that's how dedicated I am to Folgers. Thank you.
I love her accent so
my
much.
gosh.
People are really creative. There's all
Yeah.
kinds coming in, and it's a great way to plug it, and it gives Folgers a kick. They really do watch the show, so it's always really a joy to get these things in. People send them in. Come on,
We love them.
keep
We
them
love
going.
them.
They sit in the archives forever and ever and ever. And I know just our SoundCloud archives go into the hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions, and
I love
never
Renee's
goes
accent.
away.
I love her accent. I can't get enough of that Southern drawl.
I know. She's a sweetie besides that. So, so do you think, did your aunt still come around Is she still trying to give you messages, or once you wrote the book, did she just drop off? Was she happy?
Oh, she never left. She never left. She's just here. I mean, she's just kind of part of the house, and
part of the
and
house.
she
Keep things
yeah,
off the
part of the
fridge.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, she stay off the
Don't
fridge.
put things on top of the fridge. Yeah.
She's
The
a
one thing
guiding force.
She's a guiding
Yeah.
force in the refrigerator, but she also she does. We did a brass rubbing from the gravestone. You know, those are, you just go in there, you take a crayon, and we mounted it and made big. It's just gorgeous. It's in our hall. And we were looking at it the one day and we thought, oh, wish we would have pressed in harder to make it darker, because it's kind of light looking at it. And as we were watching it, it got darker and darker and darker. And I said,
She
I think
heard
she's
you.
coloring it in. So she colors.
If I would have drank that, I would have spit it out.
Use your Folgers now, young lady. So anyway,
That's it.
so there you go. So
That's
she
it,
did
exactly.
that.
We
She
spit
hangs
the
out.
Folgers out now.
Don't spit the Folgers out. Don't tell them.
It's a good way to use yourself a sponsor.
I'm just saying,
Put it
normal
on
people would be looking at
international
that
radio.
going, what the F? You're like, oh,
I know.
that's really cool. Thank you.
Anyways,
Did you say
Oh.
thank you?
oh, thank you. Yes, thank you. So that's, and she hangs. I think that they never. I mean, she's in me. So does she ever leave? Well, no. She's the DNA. We are sharing the same blood,
Mhm.
and I think with all of us, like your French folks, I have some French folks too, by the way, and so I think that they're always with us, and it's just but I don't feel the drama because I think it's integrated. I think after the drama comes the integration. But again, there was an uptick. I think when somebody comes around who's doesn't have our best interest at heart, then there seems like a lot of activity. And again, the scrambling messages and things like that. And she offers, I suppose, protection where,
Yeah.
you know, we don't,
Well,
I don't
it's
necessarily want to
family.
see it. Yeah.
She's finally
absolutely.
with family,
Mhm.
and she didn't have a really long go at it. Let's face it.
She didn't have a
right?
long go at it. So she continues. And now she's you know, basically mastered her throwing skills. So it's just like, person better not try to do anything. So
throwing skills.
boom. Anyway, so like thinking of Piper on Charm.
Her
Anyway,
energy. She knows how
You're
to,
being
how to
receiving
she's
end of that.
mastered her energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
so I think
You
they're with
know.
us, and my mom is with me. I'm really aware since she's died. She's only been dead a few months. I mean, that's so
Oh my
fresh.
gosh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. And I think that again, I'm so glad she got to hold the book and everything. But again, she died in late January, and only now am I able to really feel the grief. And I'll tell you, it's like getting hit on the head again. It feels dreadful. 2022, the family in Ukraine, what's happening, my mom, it's just like, yeah. But I also feel as we go into this, you know, I like to feel all the emotions. I am Eastern European. After all, we have all the emotions. Mostly we're just, you know, but we know sadness like nobody else. And it's just like we feel it and embrace it, because it's also part of who we are, and it creates that spectrum that I think that as a writer, as a performer, I have to draw upon. So I'd have to say I was so glad to help heal that matrilineal line by giving her stories like, Mom, this is the missing piece of your ancestral pie that you didn't have as a little girl. And had you had your mother, I think it would have been a different life for all of us, but you didn't. And thanks in large part to the Eastland that there was so much loss for us. So I gave it back to her before she passed. And I think that's the best, you know, in a sense, it's like, okay, I can relax now, but I really can't, because it seems like there's more, you know, being asked of me.
She's with you though. She knows everything.
She does. Yeah. Yeah, she
And
does.
she's probably the one guiding you through to the next step.
She's getting me through. And yesterday I got a reminder to call Mom. It was from the old days when I would call her in the hospice. It's like, it was yesterday I thought, okay, I'd like to, you know, but I felt like she was
still
there,
can.
you know.
You
Yeah.
still
Oh
can.
yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
You still can. Has anybody like put up any kind of a memorial to this disaster area? Like, there is a memorial?
Oh yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
There was one that was stolen, and now there's a new plaque.
Who
There's
the hell
a
would
lot.
do something like that?
Same
don't-
people that take headstones out.
I guess
Gavalt,
so.
I don't know. I don't know. Michigan people, I don't know. They're just they put up another plaque. And again, there's the Eastland Disaster Historical Society out of Chicago, the Newberry Library. It's getting a lot more recognition than it did a quarter of a century ago when we first discovered it. And there's been a few books written. I think mine is the only one that's kind of brings up the paranormal topic of it, I think. Um, so there's, and I'm really glad. I mean, anybody that writes anything about this and brings attention to it, great. I hope at some point, hopefully I can release my audio book before the end of the year, provided I can get all the sound according to Amazon's specifications. But I think that will help too, because I like to listen to audio. I really do. And a lot of people don't like reading. So I think that will help. So anything that I can do to push it forward. And I think recognizing too, that this is just, the next chapter. She gave me so much, but she's also allowed me to touch other lives. I got to meet you guys for one thing.
Absolutely.
And I think it's awesome. I wouldn't be talking to you or not for her,
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah, we
denying
feel
my
the same.
amazing.
We feel the same. Yeah.
I feel the same. It's just good people. And I think of the adventures she's given me that she could never have. And my grandmother could never have. So I think, in a sense, I feel like I'm just running and doing. There's a prayer from Reformed Judaism about we honor our dead the best by carrying out the wishes and the acts, the intentions that they would have carried out had they continued onward. And that's how it's part of the Kaddish. But I feel that. I feel like I continue, and when I'm gone, it's like, yeah, you take this mess, run with it. I'm on you. So I already know who's going to get
You'll
it.
be there one day,
Yes. Yes.
and hopefully, your people, your descendants are going to watch for the signs, because clearly
They'll be more
you know what they're all
open-minded.
about. Yeah, just throw
We've
things
already
off the
warned
fridge.
them. Yes.
It's
Yes.
like, off we go, top of the fridge. That's it.
Exactly. I will
That was
throw
Aunt
things.
Natalie. That's
Yeah, there she
you
is
know.
again.
I know.
Yes.
She had a fridge thing.
I know. Tell
Right,
it,
leave your
Nick,
mark.
Yeah, it's like,
tell
why
them
the
again.
fridge? Yeah, and I
That's
mean, I
it.
had a hard enough time keeping clean, and then I thought, oh, don't mess it up. It's already a mess. So
That's
neatness
it.
is not my thing. Yeah,
You
exactly.
just let
So,
them know. If you got an issue at the top of the
Yeah.
fridge, it's going to be me.
yeah, it's
So,
not Marie Kondo coming to visit. So there you go. Anyway,
Right.
so
You should just
So,
come
yes.
back and go after all the OCD relatives.
oh, don't. Oh, Amelia, offline. That's an offline
that could be
topic. Yes.
fun. That could
Very
be fun.
special
Oh,
people
it's
that-
something I'm planning on doing with a few.
Oh, me too. I've got a couple in mind. They're just like, you wait.
Oh my gosh.
If I don't write an article to shut you down, I will come back and haunt you. So anyway, yes, indeed. Oh well, just kidding. No, I'm not. Anyway, but
No.
it does.
Sorry, not sorry.
Much open
Yeah,
about it
sorry,
now.
not sorry. Well, sometimes
Yeah.
I think that we have to speak for those who can no longer speak and
I agree.
stand up for those who
Absolutely.
cannot stand up for themselves and who are, yeah.
Mm.
And I think that that's one the other sealed order I've come in this life with too, is to just bring some things to attention. Long before this, I was writing things that were just helping shut down certain things that should not have gone on. So yeah,
Mhm.
so it seems to be
So,
a thing.
you considering writing another book? Maybe I like the
I ho-
whole
well, I hope-
haunted genealogist thing. I think that's I don't even know if that's actually been done. When you were
Well, it
saying that
has, but
genealogists
yeah,
have these
yeah, it has.
experiences, I think that would be really wonderful to talk about, because I
I
think when you
might.
do start digging and you do start,
Things happen.
researching, and they
Mhm.
want you to know,
Mhm.
why not?
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's a possibility. I think, Mr. Jones has done such a good job with that already, but because it's kind of like a series of anecdotes, it's not really a book. I think when you tell a story, it can be interesting. The thing that happened to me accidentally was I started to get involved with, of all things, like what happens, how do you become a good ancestor?
Mm.
One of those things is taking care of your estate now. So your folks aren't left with this. And the other thing too is what I ran into, and it's rather ghastly, and I'm still processing it, is that people that have taken advantage legally of certain people and wormed their way into their lives because no one was there to stand up for them, because they didn't have I have this justice thing too going, by the way, guys. So when I saw this happen, I thought, oh my gosh, it's too late for this individual. But I thought, you know what? That's something that bears writing about too. So becoming a good ancestor means also advocating for the living, advocating for those who are about to depart. Like my mother, her wishes were honored, but
Right.
this didn't happen with this other person. And so her life, her estate, everything else seemed to be taken. And it was just not a relative of mine, but it was something that I was privy to. And it was like, oh, so I thought, how often does this happen? So
I've witnessed
again,
that just recently, just in the
often.
last few
Really?
years.
Okay.
And it's devastating to watch that happen to
Devastating.
someone. Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
And you get the right grifters that move on in, and it's like, Holy
and
smokes,
their
folks.
family, but
Yes,
not my
yes.
family, but her
Not your family, but
family.
their family, yes.
I tried to get involved, but it was, I even went
I
right
understand.
through to a trustee in the government and lawyers and everything. Like, I just to protect her, even though personally she didn't really deserve it, but I can't stand to see anybody go through something like that.
Exactly,
But
exactly. But it's good you did it, but that's, I mean,
I didn't do anything because it didn't end up meaning anything in the end. They ended up with things they shouldn't have had.
yes, I
So
totally get it. I think I totally get it. At least the vibe I'm getting from you feels like what we've just, discovered, not that went through it,
yes.
discovered.
Mm.
And so that's one of those, it's not it's not usually something that, it's the justice side of me. The supernatural will always be there. But I also feel like this woman who departed, I thought, guide me. I will try to help you. I will try to get post-death justice for you somehow, and for people that you would have wanted to have it for. So it's taken me down some weird paths that I'd rather not go down. But if the call comes, I'll say, okay, what do you want? Until I'm shut down or until I'm led into a different direction, I'm just going to follow it and do what I need to do.
I'm backwards here. Dolly's asking.
I'm trying to figure out what the heck you are doing. I'm just.
I was
seeing
trying
this
to
on my-
point
I'm trying to keep up
because
we have
the
this
stupid
thing, right?
camera's
And it goes in my
backwards.
thumb or my hand goes up. It means something. I'm going, okay. So the finger goes up.
She's signing.
This, and I'm like, what
I'm
does it
pointing to
mean?
the chat room because it's
Okay.
to the right, but see,
One
it's
sec.
backwards, right? Because Dolly asked, was she kosher? If she was, it may be the reason why the fridge.
No, that side
So
isn't
no.
Jewish. So no, no. That
Okay.
we've got Dolly. We have a very mixed family. I've got the Jewish folk. I've got the Orthodox Christian, Roman Catholic, Byzantine Christians, Lutherans. Have I missed anybody? We've got everything in this family. That's unusual family makeup, but we are everything. So yeah, so I basically code switch quite a bit depending on where I'm at. It's like I love them. It's like girls, you're all pretty, but I can't choose one religion, so I just kind of choose the all of that stuff and kind of enjoy the Eastern European gods and goddesses. And they're kind of an unstable bunch of people, just like my family, so I love them. So yeah,
Yes,
those are my people. Those are mine.
There's a lot of fun stuff though in that wood pile.
Oh yeah, lightning bolt here, lightning bolt there. We're good.
Exactly. So
Now, if Thor, if only Thor really looked like Chris Hemsworth. But anyways,
there we go.
That's just my dream. But anyways,
keep the dream alive. Okay, yeah. There you go.
It's the only reason I watch Avengers.
I think a lot of women do that. Yes, exactly. So
yeah.
I had one comment I wanted to go back and get was this one right here, because there's a lesson behind this one. Amelia?
I think we all think that, Carol.
Sure. I wish I would have listened to the stories that my grandma used to tell. My grandma's parents died when she was young, and her sister raised her. I don't know where my grandma was born, much less her parents' name. So, well, usually you start with
the DNA,
your grandmother's name. Yeah, DNA.
You'll be able to find no more secrets. So if you start with the DNA, we're going to go into the science part of our lecture here, but it's just like if you start with the DNA, you can start any place really, but you can start with the intuition, the guidance. But the DNA is it's become quite sophisticated. So if you do that, if you're comfortable with that, that can reveal a lot. And it's like that labyrinth or like that, the rabbit hole. You can just go down and have all kinds of fun. So there's many places you can enter.
Just be prepared for anything.
If you have people who are still living, I think it's great. Talk to them, listen to the stories. It's sad because I feel that we don't take enough time. Life is so busy.
No.
And maybe it's a preference thing. Maybe it's just people have no patience. It's that whole Cats in the Cradle song that runs through my head.
Oh yeah.
Take the time and listen to the elderly in your life, because they are your storytellers.
Your library.
They are. They hold everything. Because when they're gone, if you don't get it, chances are, I mean, at least in this generation, it'll be photographs and things, but it doesn't mean that you get
cat videos.
Everything.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, for sure.
It's true. You're right. And the thing is, too, in fairness to Carol and even myself, sometimes when we're young, we don't know to ask. We don't know what to ask. And the elders, like my Eastland folks, the people they didn't want to talk about it. So my grandfather, when he came over, he lived with us until he died. he didn't want to talk about life in the old country when we heard about it, but there's nothing I want to say, nothing, nothing to say. So it was too painful, too horrible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we try, but we still, I want to encourage everyone, you can still get so much information, and you really can construct a story. It takes work. It's not easy. It's a really icky, weirdy, crazy path. But I found relatives over in Poland the last few years through the DNA. They were able to give me photos of people I never thought I'd see. So
Wow.
be prepared to be surprised. I think when you ask, I always ask, I said, I want to find you, help me. And you will be led by that still small voice and some science with DNA and whatever. Use every tool that is available. The tools are wonderful.
Mhm.
And I always wish everybody well on the journey. And again, you're going to find some stuff you think, whoa, close that door. But better to know, better to know.
Mhm.
But
Oh,
there's so much. There's so much.
my
There we go.
niece Samantha.
Yeah.
I got to
Oh,
spend the
wow.
weekend listening to my great uncle's stories about fighting in Vietnam.
There
Yeah,
you
I saw
go.
the
That's one
pictures of you
example.
with Gigi. That's nice.
But that's
So
one
cool.
example, right? Sometimes,
That's a
I
great,
mean,
Yeah,
you
her
have
mom's
that
side.
access,
Yeah,
relish
that's really
in it.
cool. Yes,
Right.
grab it, get that, and record it if you can. Record your elders.
It's her
Um,
brother Tyler who had the experiences, who talked about all the facts of the Titanic when he was only very, very
What?
little and too little
What?
to know anything. It's her brother. Yeah.
Uh-oh, a
Yeah,
walk-in.
yeah,
Okay,
go
I
ahead.
like it.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell the story, Amelia.
Well, he would
Oh.
tell us, he would give us facts of how many people were on the ship. He believed he was the captain. He spoke like
And how old was
he
he?
was in that position.
Whoa.
Oh my God, like 3, 4, 5
See,
and
there you
up
go,
until
right
about
there.
9.
That's what I wanted you to say. Yeah.
And there
my
was,
gosh.
it was before the film even came out, because I actually watched the film with him because they spent the weekend at my house.
Yeah.
And he just astounded me. Like, he was talking about how many people were in what class, how they closed the gates. These are things that
Gosh.
a young child
Mhm.
wouldn't know.
Exactly.
And it was
An adult wouldn't know that. Oh my God.
no, we all do now because
You
he's
do
told
now,
us for so
but
many years. I mean, he's older
gosh.
now. I
That's
was
so
born later in my
incredible.
mom's life, so I'm very close in age to my nieces and
Oh
nephews.
my
But
Yeah.
gosh. Oh
it
my
was just
gosh.
shocking because to hear him say and name the crew, and he knew everybody. Samantha can vouch for me. I was
Samantha, oh my
just
gosh.
I was
It's
just in shock.
incredible.
Yeah, her brother Tyler, and it's just like, oh my
Tyler,
gosh, like
okay. So
I was
does
like,
Tyler
wow.
still know this? Does Tyler still
I
talk
would
about
think
this?
so. He's much older. He
Wow.
talks about, he's very interested in anything. He still feels so strongly about it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
he
Wow,
knows
okay.
everything about all the wars. My nephews, the
My
two, he and
gosh.
Jason are very, very knowledgeable when they were young, and they shouldn't have been. But Tyler, I've never seen anyone like him
I
Hmm.
never
ever.
heard. I mean, I've heard of it,
And
but I've
my
never seen
family's
anybody.
gifted. Like, I've never seen anything like him
Hmm.
that young, to have that many facts and to be so well spoken and
Gosh.
to
Oh my
Especially
explain
gosh.
how
so
where
little.
he put himself in the ship and how he put himself,
Mhm.
at the helm, and that he
Whoa.
made sure he knew everything. The band stayed on and they continued playing. That's not just a saying, Zia. And I'm just like,
Oh my gosh.
I'm in my
Especially when
20s
you're
going,
like 3, you know?
We
what?
need a book
Like,
out of this one. This is incredible.
Tyler, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's what
just
makes
like,
it so
Tyler's very
fascinating is
gifted.
when
Yeah.
they
Oh my
say
gosh,
out
you
of the mouths
guys.
of babes, you know, like that's just
Yeah, yeah.
And
No
it
one
censorship.
his
example.
story never changed.
His story
And
never changed.
when I
Oh my gosh.
watched, no, because when he loves to teach her kids about the Titanic. Samantha's a
Oh my
mama
God.
of 4.
Oh my gosh. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. This is so
And
cool. What a great, it's encouraging. I don't know.
It's a great legacy, isn't it?
he was my dad passed in 2020, and he was amazing
Aw.
with my dad. He would always sit and talk to my father about the war and
Oh my
everything,
gosh.
because my dad was
What a-
born in 1930, so he walked the streets of
okay.
Italy barefoot in the winter because of the
Oh,
war.
he's from there. Oh my gosh. Oh.
My dad, yeah. So
Oh my
so
gosh.
when Tyler talks about it, it's hard because you feel the emotion and the pain, and
Oh
to be a
boy.
child, like now, I mean, he's older, but when he was a
Yeah.
child, you would just
My
sit there
gosh.
and not,
They're talking.
how do you comprehend that? Like, how does a child understand that kind of emotion?
Oh Lord.
Mhm.
Lord.
The,
What a
the
family.
facts,
What a family.
the facts were crazy. The facts were
That's
crazy.
incredible. That's incredible.
My heart broke. And then when I saw the film, excuse me,
Then what?
all I kept hearing was him
Tyler.
in my head.
Tyler.
Yeah. But
Oh
I
gosh, what a
can't
story.
I can't sit through the film like you can't sit through.
I can't. It's too hard.
I can't sit through the actual film of the Titanic. I can watch the first half because it's fictional. But when it comes to the other part where they
Real
lock
stuff.
the third class, I hyperventilate and I
Oh my gosh, you all.
can't do it. So
Yeah,
I
it's
can't even
incredible.
thinking about it. I'm emotional. I've never been on a cruise ship. I will never step on one. I've always had that fear, but he has a stronger connection than I do.
But there's so
God.
many stories out there. You can just imagine. That's one amazing story. But anybody who says, you know, oh no, reincarnation is a thing, you know, past lives, you know what? I don't know. It's either one hell of an imprint or it's a past life.
I
I'm
was
sorry.
too young to
It's just
have that
something.
kind of
Exactly.
information.
Yeah,
just
you
way
can't
too young.
calculate that.
My brother
Yeah.
wasn't into it. My sister-in-law wasn't into it. It's
Yeah.
not like we discussed it.
But that's usually how
It
you
was
know
just
the
crazy.
the accurate ones, the true stories.
Mhm,
It is just randomly children like, oh, you know,
Ah.
like I was here when I died, you know, they're like, what do you mean? I'm
We were-
buried over there. It's like, what?
We were watching The Lion
Incredible.
King. Like I'll never forget it because it was in the part where they're singing Hakuna Matata and they're dancing, and all of a sudden he's like, "Zia," and the Titanic and blah blah blah, and I'm like, "What the?"
I know what?
Yeah. Oh, Mary J. Guess.
Mary,
my
Yeah.
my granddad wrote his memoir about being a POW in Dieppe. I understand, yet I remember being in the trenches of World War I. Body memory.
That's
do you all think?
imprinting we were talking about.
Oh, is
Yeah.
that
I
an imprint?
wonder.
Okay, interesting. Well, I'm learning a lot from you all just talking. This is
I'm
explain my
learning a
life
lot
to me.
from
Thank
you.
you very much.
I've always been
Wow.
fascinated about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the listeners in
That
the chat
fateful
room
day.
brings a lot of really interesting comments
Yeah, this
and
is
questions.
quite the gang
But
here.
it's I mean, we're nearing the end, you know, of the show. We've
Aw,
got 10 minutes.
I
I know. It goes by
Need some
really
more
quick.
Folgers. Okay, all right.
Dang it.
L'chaim.
So this is a part of the show where you promote yourself, promote the book, where to find it, your website,
Sure.
where people can find you to reach out, or
Well, I see you already have it blasted because
Darn
I'm sure
straight
the
we-
websites you are
Yes,
you are
but for
with it.
those that are listening in archive,
those
because
who
they
are
can't
listening,
read that
yes.
banner.
And I
We have a lot of
apologize,
audio.
but it's a very long title because at the time, again, I really didn't think about a short title, but the book title is Flower in the River, and so is the website. So it's www.flowerintheriver, run together, flowerintheriver.com. And that's all. You can see the backstory. You can see the actual, though it's a fiction book, it's not that fictional. And you can see the actual photos of the folks. You can see the morgue. You can see some of from my personal collection of my aunt who was killed, what a character she was and what she could have been had she lived. And you can see our family homes in Johnstown, and you can just see the whole family history. So it's all there. And the book's soon to be coming out an audio book. Fingers crossed. If the audio gods are good to me, we'll get that. Yeah, I know. Thank you. Okay. I don't shoot that
miss a
microphone.
challenge. I got my
No,
All right, I know
toes
you
crossed
don't.
for you too.
Not with your hand signals. I
My
think those are
toes
Italian.
and my fingers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, with those
Italian
fingers,
hand signals.
it's hard to keep up sometimes because you're
I know.
Italians.
Italian.
Well, listen, I know. I live with this. Like it's the only. Look, I mean, look what I've got.
Then
here.
you
can't
should
see
know
that.
it.
There you
Because
go.
I can't see what your shirt
I do.
says.
Italia. It says.
Bravo.
Yeah. Okay. Molto piace. Oh, non è
There we go.
possible, molto piace. So anyway, yes, I do. Yeah.
Oh, what did you lose your mic?
You did?
You did? You lost your microphone? Amelia, she's trying. Well, I'm I don't know what she's doing,
Baffled?
but I have to near us towards the end. So thank you for joining us. And it was really a pleasure. You're just a hoot. You really are. You're just
Thank you very
delightful.
much. Right back at you.
No, it's awesome.
back at
It's
you.
awesome. But yeah, if you do decide to do that haunted genealogy, or boy, oh boy, we
I know.
definitely be interested.
I have your email now, Michelle, so I know how to find
No,
you.
do. Yeah, please do. Please do.
It's a good
Let
idea.
me
You give me
know.
something to think about.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Absolutely. I'll be in touch anyway. I like to let people
sounds
know just
good.
how many
That sounds
people are actually listening. So,
yes, these people.
but just a hand thing again,
Yeah.
but I can't hear you now. So this is not going to be easy.
Okay.
But thank you. And I will email you probably a little bit later on after everything rolls in.
Oh, that sounds really excellent. You women are just incredible. Hopefully you
Thank
can
you.
hear me. You can hear me.
Yes, we can. Can hear you
Okay,
fine.
good.
Oh,
Okay, Amelia went
Bubbles is
away.
gone.
Okay, I'm sorry, Amelia. Something I said. I'm so sorry.
I
Go
know.
ahead.
And down she goes. She'll try to come back in. Probably just has to
Okay.
reboot. It could be an internet
Okay.
thing. But thankfully,
Okay.
it's at the end of the show. So,
Okay.
I'm just going to sign us off. And then at least there she can come back in if she can make it. But thank you again for joining us. And
Thank you. I'm honored. I'm
oh,
honored.
pleasure. A true pleasure. And
Oh,
I will be in touch.
that sounds really great. Okay, well, I'm going to try to sign off here, but you have a
Oh,
good evening and take care of Canada, okay?
yeah, just for
We'll be
you.
there in the basement with cousin Helen. Okay, all
Now
right.
just
Take
swim
care.
across the river. I'll get you.
Okay, would you? Love
Yeah,
it.
sure
Okay,
will.
take
All
care.
right.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, we have come to the end of another amazing show. We lost Bubbles. Thank God she held on for the majority of the show. Big thank you to Natalie for joining us. Gosh, what a breath of fresh air she was. Big thank you to Folgers Coffee. Big thank you to Dr. Snick, aka Justin Snicker. If you guys want to contact us for any reason, and I know I got a lot of people to get back to, and I will, I promise. I have been filming a documentary, and the documentary has been filmed here, so pretty much everyone has been here. But contact us at the outer realm contact at gmail.com. Again, the outer realm contact at gmail.com. I will make a point of getting to everybody. If you enjoy whatever platform you are listening to the show, please subscribe. And don't forget the Folgers commercials, guys. Keep them rolling. As you can see, millions of people see these things. They go into the archives. It gives you a great opportunity to promote yourselves and have a little bit of fun because Folgers does watch. Also, please do not forget to go and vote at podcastawards.com, Bubbles in the house, and find the Outer Realm Radio under Best Female Hosted Podcast and the Adam Curry category. Tune in next week as we welcome back real dear friend, Dacre Stoker, who is the great-grandnephew of Bram Stoker. He has been on a few times before, but it's been quite a while, and he's got a lot of stuff going on, so we're definitely going to connect with him. Also, back on Thursday, Sean Williamson from Scotland comes back, and he'll be discussing his new book, Questus, which is being released. And I think he's going to have a special treat for us. He's going to bring someone along with him. So we're going to have a whole pile of fun with that. Now, tomorrow night, no, we're not here, but you can catch two more great shows. Catch the Church of Maybus at 8, I think, yes, is it 8 p.m.? I think it is 8 p.m. Eastern. And of course, the Centralist. So if you guys want some really good getting into the politics and everything else, we've only got one political show on the network, and that's with Joe Montaldo. And that is the Centralist, which is up for also a podcast award. So go and check him out. Again, guys, there's lots of people to check out, lots of people to vote for. We're all in different categories, so you don't have to feel like, you're choosing one over another. Of course, you might choose us anyway, but it's just, that's the thing. But I'm kidding. Anyway, I want everyone to have a really great weekend. We are going to leave you with this, of course. Bear with me. Here we go.
It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There are 5 shows I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards, the longest-running premier awards event in the podcasting space, open to shows worldwide. Vote at podcastawards.com to nominate the following shows: Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in 3 categories: education, storyteller drama, and art. This show is based on the world-famous Writers of the Future contest created in 1983 by L. Ron Hubbard and provides advice and tips from contest judges, international best-selling authors, world-class artists, contest winners, and industry professionals for writers and illustrators wanting to take their next step, along with needed inspiration to keep going. The next one is The Centralist, in the category of politics and news. The Centralist is a much different news and political program which is not deemed as opinion news. Listen as Joe Montaldo brings you just the facts from trusted sources, which will allow you, the people, to make up your own minds on the various stories being reported on. The next one is UFO Undercover, in the category of entertainment. This show brings you some of the most revealing and current research that is being done with respect to alien abductions and contact. Host Joe Montaldo has been an abduction researcher for over 35 years and is uniquely qualified to bring you live interviews with some of the most well-known researchers in ufology. The next one is The Outer Realm, in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. The Outer Realm is a very popular show hosted by Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, which has millions of listeners each week. They are well known for their laid-back, roundtable style of interviewing. Together, this dynamic duo brings you the best of the best, with guests from around the world who are well-versed within their respective fields of ufology, paranormal, cryptozoology, folklore, and anything else that would be deemed outside the realm of normal. The next one is Chasing Prophecy, in the category of Society and Cultures. Take a ride down the rabbit hole with Jenny Nicasio, Sean Kelly, and Jason Iampietro, where each episode brings a roundtable approach to conversations about supernatural phenomena, hidden secret societies, underground bunkers, magical conspiracies, the paranormal, cryptic creatures, aliens, ghosts, legends, and myths from around the world. Chasing Prophecy dives into topics that entice the imagination and seduce the mind, some of which are taboo. So go to podcastawards.com and vote for these 5 shows and any others you enjoy listening to. That's podcastawards.com. Take a moment and go out and vote.
Good night, everyone. Have a great